All right, class. We're going to discuss a couple foundational, things that Python relies on. Some vernacular, right? So let's talk about what an expression is. An expression is a combination of values, variables, or operators. Okay, what does that mean? Well, we'll dive more into that as we build more expressions. Operators. So operators, they have functionality that do something and can be represented as a symbol, such as the addition symbol, or by special keywords. Operators require some data to operate on. So if you just use the plus sign, for example, with no data, and hit enter, you get invalid syntax because there's no data to operate on. But if you do 2 plus 2, works without issue. So statements. A statement is a unit of code that has an effect, like creating a variable or displaying a value. Statements contain expressions, and expressions can contain one or more operators. So your code statements are often referred to as line statements or syntax or code blocks or script blocks, but at the essence, you have expressions, operators, and statements. Statements are made up of expressions and operators, which leads us to the discussion on variables. So what's a variable? Simplest form, it's a placeholder. Well, what does that really mean? Well, it's a special placeholder in memory to hold a value or to hold an object type for later use and can be recalled upon. So earlier we did 2 plus 2. If I actually type the word for and then equals, or equals 2 plus 2 and hit enter, you see 4 was the variable name and I set it equals 2 plus 2. So next time when that's loaded in the memory, when I type the word 4 and hit enter, I actually get the addition. Python actually performs this addition and generates 4. So not necessarily a great variable name. We're going to discuss more of that. But one cool thing is if you do an ID of 4, let me type it correctly, an ID of 4 and hit enter, you get the memory space location of that variable. Not entirely handy now, but it will be potentially handy later on in the course. ID or ID shows you the memory location of an object, and in this case the object is the variable of 4. Handy. So there's some rules with variables names, and you can actually go to this website, python.org dev peps pep8 pep8. So what is this? A PEP it's a Python engineering proposal, and Python PEP 8 actually is just an engineering proposal on how you could write better code. And they have a section there about variables, and it's a good quick read. I highly recommend it, and I'll probably throw that in the announcements as well. But along with variable names, there's certain words. Variable names cannot start with a special character or any bogus characters, but any special characters, and it cannot be named with any keywords. Well, what's a keyword? Python has 33 of them. Now, there's a command or a function called import, and then we're going to import a module called keyword, which is a built-in module, which will make more sense later in the course. You hit enter. So now, all the commands that are available within this module we loaded, if we do a dir on keyword, you'll see that there's all these kw list, main, is keyword, these are called methods. And when you go ahead and run one to get the keyword list, so if we call on the module of keyword, from keyword we want the keyword list, and if I hit enter, it lists all the keywords that Python has in its standard library, which is 33. Now there's another function that we could run. We could run this command again, right? There's a function called length that'll give you the length or the number of objects in a list. And in this case, keyword or keyword.kwlist gives us a list back. And they're separated by commas, and each one of these is an object. Well, length, what it does is it counts how many objects. So it's 33. So there's 33 keywords in a standard library for Python that you cannot name variables. Okay, cool. We got that out of the way. So let's talk about variable names more in depth. You'll see a lot of things online say x equals or y equals or a and b. Those are, in my opinion, they're decent for testing, and if you're going to be the only person reading that code. If your script has to change hands during testing and express what it does, you may want to allow your variable names to be something more descriptive. Like over off to the side, I have name underscore 2 underscore 3 underscore part underscore 1. These are all valid variable names, but being more descriptive, this is a camel case, right? Capital for every keyword. So I for integer, accounting total, integer underscore accounting total, I underscore accounting underscore total, machines 180, machine 180. These are all more descriptive variable names, but some of them are long and may require retyping, but that's where a good IntelliSense comes in play, and you can just hit tab to finish, but that's a different story, right? But it doesn't hurt to be descriptive. So when you create variables, we'll use this as an example. My name equals Heather, right? Well, my name's not Heather, but we'll run through this scenario. So we declared empty variable. My name equals the string of Heather. I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to call on my print, and we'll just follow the example. Hi. Then I'm going to call on the variable name and hit enter. And now print runs the argument string of hi space, then calls in the variable, but prints out the value for that variable, which is Heather. Handy. Awesome. Let's move right along, right? Let's make a variable called favorite color, fave color. Blue. Awesome. And here's some print statements. I like the color, favorite color, blue. Here's a way to keep it going, right? Keep the sentence going, but call on your variable. So here we have a print statement. We have a string, comma, variable name, comma, finish off with another string. We hit enter. I like the color blue a bunch. Awesome. So this right here, this print statement, print also has other arguments, as we seen earlier from the help. This says print string, I sure do like the color, %s, which means a placeholder for a string, and then after it, you throw in the % or call on your variable, and then it'll replace that string with the value of your variable. Awesome. Let's take another look at that one. Because what you could do, I sure do like the color a ton, and it still feeds your variable into that placeholder, calling out for the string with the value of your variable, and we said favorite color equals blue, and then it prints it out. Awesome. Variables are probably one of the most widely used things within scripting. They hold your objects in memory. They make them available for your statements. They just go hand in hand. And here, let's check out this, right? So I'm going to say, give to another variable, let's say name equals, we'll go pick my buddy Steve because it's fun. Steve, I'm going to give him an age equals, and we're going to say 27. We're going to stick with the program here. We're going to print %s for the string is %d means a digit, years of age, right? And then here we call on our variable placeholders. We say name followed by age, right? Then I have to double parentheses to close it. When I hit enter, it replaces a string and digit with the variables of name and age. Steve is 27. Now if I try to flip these, if I did age then name, we get an error because, check out the error, it tells you is a number is required, not a string. So the formatting, and when you go to enter the type of object that your variable is, let's do a type on our variable of age. Now you see that it's an integer. And if we do a type on our variable of name, we see it's a string. So when we use string and digit, we have to make sure the type of object is correct, like this right here. Good to go. We'll go back and forth with a bunch of variables. I know we covered a lot in this video, but sometimes we're going to cover a lot of material in these individual videos because we're learning the building blocks of Python. And once we master an expression, an operator, statements, what those are, and we understand how to create good variables, then it opens up an entire new world for scripting, and we'll see that coming up.